addiction is not just about the drugs, the object of our addiction. It entails so much of an image that has become us. I'm an addict. I'm all messed up. My life is ruined. Families and friends are frustrated. Maybe they have walked away from us. Maybe we have lost our job. We've lost our marriage. We've lost our career. We've lost trust in ourselves, in our own capacity to take care of ourselves, to take care of difficulties in our lives. And so it's a great burden. And of course, as we use drugs or alcohol or pornography, etc., the physical illness also has begun to appear in our lives, in our body. So we may have many withdrawal symptoms. We may develop anxiety and depression. So we face many problems all at once, and it can be so overwhelming. The tolerance, the sensitization to the objects of our addiction cause us a lot of suffering. I want to talk a little bit about that. So let's say in the beginning, our feelings, our sense of well-being or ill-being starts, let's say, at level 5. We feel at just level 5. And by trying out that drug or the alcohol or the pornography, etc., we may feel our mood picked up to a level 7 or 8, which is a great feeling. And we like that. And we hope to come back to that level 7, 8, or even 9 again. But very soon, to do that same amount of drug doesn't get us to level 8 anymore, but only to level 7. And slowly 6. And slowly 5. So that's when we begin to develop tolerance. So we have to do more. The dose is bigger. We do more of that just to get to level 7 now, just to get to level 6. And now without the drugs, we don't feel at level 5 like before we do the drugs. But we may feel only at the level 4 or 3 or 2. We feel sick. So now we do drugs not because we enjoy it, not because it gives us a great feeling, but because we do it so that we don't feel so sick. We don't feel so bad. It's this excruciating discomfort and pain in our body and mind. And so we seek the drug just to feel okay. So that's right there is something that many of us may not think of, especially if we don't have that particular addiction to that particular drug. We may think people just want to feel good, that's why they do drugs. No, they just want to feel normal, to feel tolerable. That's tolerance that we develop. The brain has gotten used to it, so it doesn't respond to it anymore. It needs a stronger dose. And at the same time, the brain develops a sensitization. It means that even if we try just a little bit, it induces a stronger craving than before. So now, as the addiction becomes stronger, it needs less of the drug, less of the stimulation of the images and sounds. For us to feel this extreme craving, that we need to seek that object of addiction in order to calm ourselves down. So we do it out of craving, out of discomfort, not because we enjoy it anymore. And many of us, we also suffer from denial. It takes a long time for a person with a mental illness to recognize and to accept that they have a mental illness. That's why the mental illness becomes worse, because we don't acknowledge it, we don't accept it. So we try to do drugs. That's also another situation when we have an illness, when we a physical problem, a physical pain, and we cannot deal with it. So we seek a drug, even a pharmaceutical drug, to suppress that pain. And so then we become addicted to it. But so to acknowledge that we have an addiction to a drug or something, it's very difficult for us, because we feel justified, or we want to justify our actions. And that makes it even more difficult for us to seek help, or to try to find a way out of the problem, because we go through denial. Every type of addiction, it takes place because it changes our brain. When I was in medical school, neuroplasticity was not spoken very much about. But the last 20 years or so, the scientific community has begun to talk more about neuroplasticity, which to me, the Buddha had always known all along, 2,600 years ago. And that's why a Buddhist practice, the Buddha's teachings, is all about taking care of the mind, taking care of our thoughts, speech, and bodily actions. And even the Buddha said, there's one thing that if left uncultivated, it will bring a lot of suffering and misery. What is that one thing? It's the mind. And the Buddha also said that there's one thing that if it is well cultivated, then it will bring a lot of happiness. What is that one thing? It's our mind. It's our mind, our capacity to be there for what is, to recognize what is, and to take good care of it. And that brings me to in the Alcoholic Anonymous, in that program, they have what is called 12-step program. And one day it came to me that actually we, as Buddhist practitioners, we also go through the 12-step program. And that includes 4 noble truths and the 8-fold path. When we add them together, that's a 12-step program for all of us. For the 4 noble truths, the first noble truth is that there is suffering. It is important that we learn to acknowledge that we are going through a difficulty. We are going through a traumatic event. To acknowledge that there's suffering is already liberating. And most of us in our society, we don't practice this. We try to suppress it. We try to find something to cover it up. We don't want to acknowledge that there's suffering. What is so noble about suffering that the Buddha called noble truth of suffering is only noble because we recognize it. That's the first step. It's a stepping stone. And the second noble truth is that we recognize that there are causes of suffering. Just like I was sharing about, the root cause of addiction, and not just the tip, the branch of it, but there's root cause. So we look deeply into the causes at different stages in our lives, in our family situation, in our social situation, in the stage of the world. All of those factors play in our life of a human being because we are interconnected to all that. Stop. So looking into the causes of our suffering is very important, and to recognize them. And not only to see the causes of our suffering, but as we practice more deeply, we also look into the causes of suffering in those who cause us suffering. And we recognize that the perpetrators of our suffering were themselves also victims. Not so long ago, I gave consultation to this woman, and she came with some other questions, as she told me later. But we sat for a little bit, and she started, hesitantly, I could tell in her body, she wanted to share something much deeper than the questions that she had in mind. And then she looked at me and she asked me, she said to me, when I was 5 years old, I was pinned down by five boys. How do I live with that? And as she started to tell me what happened, her body started to shake. And I put my hand on her knee, and her body was tremoring so more and more violently. And at that moment, I realized this is real. She's going through the experience. So I told her, you don't need to talk. Just breathe. And I hugged her. And her body, her whole body started to tremor. It started with her hands, and then her knees, and then her whole body. And I told her, let's sit on the floor. And so I helped her to sit on the floor. And I held her in my arms, and she was in a crouching position of a child, literally of a child. She was crouching like this, and I was holding her from the back, and I just rocked her back and forth. I just rocked her. She became a child, a 5-year-old girl right in front of me, and I just rocked her and just held her very tight. In that moment, something in me told me that's what she needed. Just deep, strong pressure, embrace, and just be there for her. And she shook for a very, very long time. And then slowly, her body trembled less and less. And she said to me, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So she was just whispering these words. And I was still holding her and still rocking her body. And I told her, thank you. Thank you for surviving all these years. Thank you for having made all these efforts in your life. She thanked me. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure if she was the one who thanked me or the little child in her thanked me. But I was definitely thanking her inner child for having tried so hard, for surviving, for doing extraordinary things in her life, despite all that pain and shame and guilt and sadness that she's carried all her life. She even said, I was following the boys, but I was just a little kid. I didn't know. So in our sharing, I also said to her, for those young teenage boys to have done that to you, they must have seen that somewhere. And so they imitated that violence on you, upon you. So they too were victims. For the young boys to have done that to a little 5-year-old girl, their lives would never be the same anymore. Their thoughts, their speech, and their bodily actions are forever changed. Their lives could never be truly happy anymore. So as we look deeply into the causes of our suffering, we also learn to look deeply into the causes of suffering in those who have done harm to us. And that is the second noble truth. And it helps us to see that there is a way out, that suffering can be transformed and healed. And that's the third noble truth.